After a one-month delay, the iPad goes on sale in 9 countries today. With us to discuss how iPad's international sales will contribute to Apple's bottom line is Katy Huberty. She is executive director at Morgan Stanley. She has an overweight rating on Apple, and it was recently added to Morgan Stanley's best ideas list. Katy, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
300,000 iPads sold in the U.S. on its debut day. What number is a win for these oversales figures?
You know, I actually don't think the initial international sales number matters given the supply constraints. But let me tell you this, when the iPhone launched internationally, demand doubled. And that's a really important point because our proprietary survey suggests that the U.S. market will soak up the entire 5 million of units that the street expects this year. That means that any success internationally is just icing on the cake for investors.
Now, we know the dollar has gotten stronger, so maybe some consumers will be a little bit deterred by what is going to end up being a higher price for them. But what about 3G? I mean, you had some U.S. consumers waiting for the next version, I mean, you shouldn't say it's a beta version, it's not, but waiting for the souped up version. Do you think overseas consumers will make that kind of decision too?
Actually, what we found in the U.S. is the most popular iPad is the low-end Wi-Fi, followed by the high-end 3G. So I don't think it matters which products are available. There's demand for all of them.
We do actually even have some video of people outside of stores and inside stores in Japan. I'm assuming there were long lines there as there were here. Now, you say that worldwide iPad shipments will top 6 million this year, 7 million next year. So based on the calculations you've done, I mean, what does this do to Apple's bottom line?
So, as I said, the street's looking for 5 million this year. I'm looking for 6 million. We know from speaking to suppliers, even though that there's been some supply constraints, that Apple has the capacity to build up to 10 million. Every 1 million of incremental shipments above expectations equals 20 to 25 cents to the bottom line.
Now, your price target for Apple, you have a bull case at 400, you have a bear case at 210. We're trading around 250 right now. You have a base case of 310. One concern is how much iPad is going to cannibalize its own products, and I am guessing that's the reason for your range, right?
Yes, that's right. We do consider some cannibalization of the Mac business in our bear case, and the work we've done suggests that about 40% of people that buy the iPad as a result won't buy a notebook computer. But what's important is we think the cannibalization will be at the sub $800 consumer notebook market, which Apple really hasn't played a big part.
And we know one of Apple's future points here is sort of working with developers. I mean, essentially getting them to work for free to just get their product. Do you think they're going to have as much success in managing those relationships in Europe and in Australia as they seem to be having here?
It's a great question. iPhone customers have downloaded 4 billion apps on the iPhone, and the anecdotes we've picked up around the iPad is that consumers are actually spending more money on apps on the iPad.
Katy, we thank you so much for coming in. Katy Huberty joining us there from Morgan Stanley on the iPad international launch.